What's good, YouTube? And welcome back Tier 0, not the format, but the store. Amazing Defender presales went up yesterday, of course the one day I could not film, but I want to cover the prices, what things sold out at, and what's still in stock, because I do think if you approach the set like a normal set, you're going to end up left behind a little bit. Like, look at the Pureleys, they're $32, $19, still here in stock a day later. I think it's a little bit too expensive for these cards, because when you have deck building sets, a lot of it just ends up crashing. Even if Yu-Gi-Oh! Twitter's going, I'll spend whatever on the Pureleys, so I gotta have it, it's not going to translate into actual sales necessarily. Now, for collector rares, I think that's where a lot of people like to play pre-sales on a deck building set, because you only get 4 different collector rares per case. So with all 15 different collector rares, you got to open 4 total cases to see one of each, plus 1 extra, and 1 for 1 on top of the set selling out is not too surprising to me. When we look at Ancient Guardians, Pinkratops is atop that set as a one of, and I do think it's a card with a lot of legacy in the game, 1 for 1, and I understand why it went. Then you have, the Mekanko, you have the Purely, and the competitive sphere. Yeah, Mekanko by far is atop the set. I think their deck core aim was pretty well priced to try to get people to buy it. Rescue Ace, machine players are just built different, right? I feel like it has too many choke points, and I do think it'll be kind of down in price, even though machine players have been known to hype things over time. Usually it starts out cheap, like Infinitrax did, and Purely, just because it's cute, doesn't mean it's going to end up selling. Look at Melfi, although it does have, really nice rarity lineups to get it cheap. I just don't think Purely is going to be like taking over anything except people's hearts. When it comes down to the collector rare choices, I mainly like Isolde, Ronald, Gizmek Orochi, and Card Trooper personally. For Gizmek Orochi and Card Trooper, I think Tier 0 played it pretty safe with the $51 price points. I could see these being, 40, 35s, or I could see them getting up to 60, 65, especially because people are going to want playsets of Trooper and Gizmek. Gizmek ends up in more modern decks at times, and I think will cycle back into the metagame, just like I think Isolde can be. It's one of those only Link 2 enablers that were totally degenerate that didn't get hit on the ban list, and it's also got that waifu tax to add for a max rarity version, which is why I do like Isolde to a degree here being a collector rare. But out of these, it doesn't save the set. It doesn't mean people are going to bust open to chase these individuals down among all the other collector rares, but I get why the collector rares are what ended up selling the fastest for sure. When it comes down to it though, again, I wouldn't be touching these even with code What'sGood5 for 5% off and to support the channel directly when it comes to stuff like the ultra rares here. What I would be looking for is tomorrow they should hopefully be restocking their plushes and toys. Now, I'm a merch addict, but there's been a huge, really big demand for these plushies, and having free international shipping depending where you live if you spend 60, 80, or 100 pounds, I think that's really great for bulkier items like these that end up taking up dimensional space. So I think it's great that Tier 0 is still offering that free shipping on things like this. So yeah, wait for these to come back in stock. The card inside is not a TCG card. It's a little collectible trading card that just has a picture art on it. So don't fall for, it could promos, it could be like Mattel figures. I've seen people try to spread that. Absolutely not. It's just a little anime themed card inside. Now, speaking of another sponsor, people are asking when Yu-Gi-Oh! Daily will have pre-sales, and I kind of assume they might skip out on this set, but it turns out they're looking to actually put a physical location, I hear it might be in Texas, and really build up a community and work there. So they're going to be missing in action for just a little bit, but they're really looking to lay down roots and grow a community and then get back to the online world. Speaking of get to the merch, John, I wanted to quickly talk about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Adidas. Once again, Adidas themselves have actually now put up, glams and stuff. I believe it's January 26th that it should be going up on the confirmed app. I saw an article on that. But a lot of retailers ended up refunding. I got one of my pairs from Shoe Palace and one canceled, and a lot of people in the Discord had their Shoe Palace order canceled. And then ASOS, I also got one of the very last ones there. It got canceled as well. I did get my 2 in from Europe, thanks to Farfa. I appreciate it. But when it comes down to it, a ton of these orders just aren't coming through. So it's going to be people fighting here in 7 days for them. And I think if there's not a ton of them, if they go very quick, the demand could actually end up skyrocketing depending on those who missed out. So do try to be fighting for it, keep a track of the timer, and if you're in the EU or other regions, I only know the releases for the US. I don't know what's going to end up going where for the other regions. Now, also speaking of merch, Tapio Cards has this very controversial Flunderies plush because people have been talking all sorts of trash towards it, but saying it's still so cute. Code What's Good 5 for 5% off, and to support the channel directly will make it even cheaper. I love the little shiny embroidery on the wings, but they have these in hand now and they are shipping out. Evenly Matched got a reprint, yay, in a structure deck like it should have before. When it comes to this, that's obviously just pushing my agenda of Triple Tactics Talent being the highest priced card in the base set of Mavens. That's totally why Konami did it. But it's nice to see it actually end up in a structure deck, easy access, for a removal tool like this that actually sees its way back into the formats. Labyrinth, speaking of those deck building sets, we have the Lady Labyrinth of Silver Castle going up very consistently here to where it's basically hitting pre-sale prices now, around $15, $16. And that's because Labyrinth, people just don't want to play tier elements, and they're hoping for banlists to also come through. It's like the third best deck over in the OCG right now, or somewhere around there. It's actually getting results, it's taking pieces of the pie chart, so people are looking to play it, and it is a fan favorite. You see tons of low listings, highest prices ever on both collector rares, ultra rares, etc. And yeah, sometimes decks take a surprising turn where a lot of people discounted it, and it ends up doing pretty nice for itself. I feel like this just gets bought out as bait for me to talk about my win anciently. But Secret Six Samurai Kizaru, yeah, six Sams. It's got a little wave of buyouts. This card's no stranger to buyouts. So many of these Secret Six Sams just have kind of buyout cycles where people go, oh, it got cheap again, let me go ahead and buy it. It's not necessarily actively doing anything at the time, but if you know why it went up this time other than just to buy it out, do let me know in the comment section down below. Now, Coral Dragon has like 50 different reasons to be bought out. The new Synchro stuff, Netarius stuff, all sorts of different kinds of stuff. I've just heard just a bunch of reasons, but the secret rare has been spiking very consistently for some time, but the graph only shows like look at this, the unlimbs up here like crazy. They're not available in the first editions of what's climbing, and the first ed's what has just a crap ton of sales. What's the unlimited? Like, let me know, why is it up there? Is it that hard to find unlimbs? I see like light play unlimbs and stuff, but yeah, first edition here's 10, and if you go back towards like November, I think the secret rares are like towards $5-6 or something like that. So it's almost doubled in price over here, and it's getting active upcoming combos and then synchro hype in the future. King's Copium, I actually hadn't looked at this in some time, but the Pharaoh rares have gone back up, and I did point that you might want to get those sooner than later with Mavens re-sparking interest in them. Do remember these Pharaoh rares look different than the Mavens one. They changed the foil, so these will probably be the only cards ever foiled like this, but man, does the obelisk look ugly. It only has the Pharaoh rare stuff where the card art is not, so Slifer and Winged Dragon of Ra look better, and the secret rares were only partly in the US, which maybe now is on purpose, because this time we got secrets in the US and ultras in the EU. We just don't know, there's not communication, but again, they came peppered in the US for this release and seem to be misprints, but now maybe they're on purpose. But when it does come down to it, the ultras also did do a little baby bump in price over time, down in quantities. And somebody was asking me about the poker cards, and I came down to look. Well, it's kind of low-ish quantities. They're higher prices than I expected, but when I'm looking at Joker straight, I'd probably pay the extra just to go for the collector rare if you're actually after this, because I get not everybody wants to upgrade paying $20 for a playset to like $60, but if this got reprinted at any junction, like the collector rare would fall out a lot less, where the ultra rare could end up just being almost worthless. So I would definitely just upgrade to the collector rare here when it's around 20 some odd dollars. The Spriggan Merrymaker, it is way up in price comparatively to where it was. It started spiking, we covered it, I think it was around 2, and now it's towards 4. So people are continuing to buy into this. this and look at it for the upcoming metagames. Illusion of Chaos here has been consistently up in price, including over this month, and it has a similar graph actually to Magician Soul, which has a lot less variance. Now again, Battle of Chaos, you have a Megaton candidate, but it's going to be a while, and people looking at potentially at the Souls engine to be mixed in certain decks. But yeah, you click on the Magician Souls and that graphic kind of goes dip and back up. That dip and back up. It's interesting. Maybe the cold winter market or people, you know, not playing it actively, but you did have a chance to get Magician Souls relatively cheaper versus where it's at just a couple bucks, like $3 to $4. That adds up on a playset, right? But Illusion of Chaos, it was down towards 25 and now back up towards 34-ish. When we're looking around also at Battles of Legend, those Starlight price bumps are really sticking and the box prices aren't moving too much afterwards. These were bottomed out at 52, now they're at 60, but they're kind of staying, and you're starting to see a lot of speculative Starlight buyouts like we covered Yada, but the Exodia limbs and the head really staying up in price, and people starting to move those Exodia sets at really extravagant prices even in the Facebook groups and get traction on sales. That's what I'm staring at, and people do feel a type of way about these. Like, you're looking at the same pull rate in the US as an average Starlight to a degree because it's 1 per case-ish average. 9 out of 10 cases have a Starlight, but the EU, it was harder to pull on average. So I feel like with these Starlights, it's super easy to target them and go for them on buyout mode, and not many people still want to dig into this product, but the bum Starlights are starting to disappear. Like, Armor Master doesn't have the most listings and people are talking about it for past formats. Yada ends up spiked up here, and everything's around 200 now, so when people are trying to get rebates for ripping open after Starlights and looking at the set prices that have stabilized, it's not the best, but it's not the worst, and people can try to hit those home runs en masse on Exodia and access code Talker. And finally, just a note, Starlight buyouts, they don't always stick. I wanted to make fun of this one a little. First, it started to go up because the OCG was interested. People dogpiled, oh, it's a waifu, oh, it's going to continue, oh, you can do this or that, and okay, look where it ended up going. They don't always stick. So I don't know if you were part of the buyout on this, if you diamond hands through it, but it's back down even under its original price. It started to get bought out at $55. So don't always just end up rushing towards something because it's going up, feeling like you're going to miss out. Check your FOMO regularly and try to decide, is this something people are going to buy for a format? Why are people doing this? Will it end up sticking the landing? And I can be wrong at times personally myself, but with this, it's kind of an interesting picture of seeing just how hard it ended up crashing to where it went under where it was bought out. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation. And again, huge shout outs to Tier 0 being back. And I can't wait to see an in-demand set to see how their site holds up. And I'm hoping it does this time. They've done a lot of work in order to try to make sure that they're ready for the more demanded sets. Photon Hypernova, looking forward to you.